I, 65 male, am estranged from my daughter, 36 female. I'm completely at fault. Her mother's a narcissist, and I was brainwashed by my now ex-wife, who I recently divorced, into believing her daughter was the problem. But I've finally seen the light and realized my daughter was never the problem. It was my wife. And stupidly, I would go along to get along, but I finally grew a pair and told her to go to the bad place. I handled the estrangement very badly. I admit to trying to strong arm and bully my daughter back into the family. I won't lie, it was to get my wife off my back, as I couldn't take her BS. But I've finally seen the light. I had to stop because the daughter had an attorney send cease and desist letter. This was 3 years ago. I wrongly resented her for the problems I had believed she caused. But now I realize it was my narcissistic ex-wife all along, and I feel horrible and want to make amends. She moved away and I couldn't find her, so I hired a private investigator. She's in the next state 3 hours away. I want to be as non-invasive as possible. So am I the idiot if I leave a note with her doorman or concierge to give to her, stay at a nearby hotel for a few days, letting her know I divorced her mother? I would love to speak with her and make amends. I'd also like to let her know where I'm staying with my contact info. I know she asked numerous times to be left alone, although this was years ago while I was still with her mother, but she's still my kid. Wow, you are the idiot. My take on this, I don't know why, but using a private investigator to track her is already a breach of privacy. Doing that shows you disrespect your daughter by not agreeing with the no contact. There's a reason your daughter did that. The fact that you hired a PI to invade her privacy just shows you aren't willing to take accountability for your actions. Oh, it's absolutely an invasion of privacy, but it would also be better to have him discuss it with a therapist than for me to try to explain the nuances. You have to crawl before you walk, and this dude doesn't even realize that blaming it all on his ex clearly shows he doesn't understand basic responsibility, let alone anything more complicated. I messed up, but I blame my ex-wife for it. He and his wife seem to have this attitude and are finally divorced since they can't stand each other. I hope OP's daughter's doing well. Dude, let me get this straight. You spent years blaming your daughter, then harassed her until she had to send a cease and desist, and now you think leaving a note with her doorman is gonna start to fix everything? That's a creepy move. If you want to make amends, respect her boundaries, leave her alone, and maybe consider therapy instead of dragging her into your drama. I mean, no boundaries, right? After a cease and desist order? This isn't all the narcissistic ex-wife's fault here. Staying in a nearby hotel? Yikes. Call it what it is. Stalking. He's stalking her. She's clarified that she doesn't want him to contact her or know where she is. This man is frightening and shouldn't be in any contact with his poor daughter. I have a different take. If you want to make amends, spend a year in therapy getting your head on straight. Stop blaming your mistakes on others. Accept responsibility for your mistakes. Then after your therapist agrees you're in a good place, you make an appointment with the attorney that she hired. You give the attorney the information you have, if he doesn't know her current address, and then you let the attorney contact her to see if she'll accept your letter after you write it with the therapist. Then you wait for either the attorney to contact you or for your daughter if she so chooses. If the attorney tells you it's a no, you accept that no. Leave her money in your will, but leave her alone. Trying to contact her any other way is 100% wrong. I teach boxing, and my best student is my daughter, Teen. She can easily kick anyone's idiot, and she even once won against me, though in my defense I was sick that day, LOL. Also, my daughter is a typical girly girl. She's beautiful. She likes wearing dresses. Her favorite color's pink, and she always wears makeup. This has made many people underestimate her because for some reason, people don't think such a girly girl is capable of boxing. My daughter's also not one to brag, so people don't know how good she is. I have a nephew, nearly adult, who started boxing about 6 months ago, and a few days ago, He and a few of his friends decided to come to my gym, and I started teaching them. Yesterday, I saw them making fun of the girls in the gym and telling them things like, "Why don't you try cooking or knitting instead?" Those girls have recently started boxing, so they weren't exactly good at it. So I had an idea. I asked my nephew if he'd like to have a match against my daughter, or maybe he's afraid of losing to a girl. He said, "Okay, let's do it." My daughter kicked his idiot butt so quickly. She usually holds back against the ones who are not as good as her, but this time she didn't. After she was done, I laughed and told my nephew that he should try cooking instead and leave these sports to girls. He didn't say anything and just left. Later, I received a call from my brother calling me an idiot and telling me what I did was unfair and cruel to embarrass him like that. Not the idiot. Your nephew was being a misogynistic creep, and you and your daughter taught him a lesson. Your brother might be why your nephew acts like that. That's one possible reason for his enabling reaction like that. Another possible reason is feeling that criticism of his children is an attack on his parenting skills. P.S. You did not embarrass your nephew. He did it all to himself. Everyone's the idiot. All that's going to happen now is your nephew will go to a gym where he won't get shown up by a girl. The long-term lesson would have involved not laughing at him afterward, but pointing out man to man that he got his idiot kicked by an expert boxer who's been training far longer than him, that the girls he was making fun of were beginners. In sports, you don't make fun of people who are less good than you because they're less experienced than you. So getting his idiot kicked by a girly girl, good first lesson. You laughing at him and telling him to try cooking instead, bad second lesson. I'm 33 female, in a relationship with my boyfriend, 38, for 15 years. We were engaged 8 years ago, but no further plans were made. When I mentioned it, he always found a reason why we had to wait. It wasn't a good time, we had no money, etc. I never asked for an expensive wedding. I offered to elope or go to the courthouse. He declined and said he wanted a proper wedding because that's what I had mentioned that I originally wanted. The engagement ring he bought me was $20 because we were poor then, but I never got a replacement when it broke. We now spend, on average, $100 a month just on takeout, going out for comparison. A couple of months ago, he said he wanted to get me something expensive for $1,500 but didn't have the money. I immediately knew, so I pressured him to tell me what it was because he never bought me anything more than $100. He said it was a ring. I said if he really wanted, he could have easily saved a ridiculous $10 a month for the past 8 years and gotten me a good enough ring because I'm supposed to wear it forever. And why the heck would he mention it if he can't get it? Makes no sense. A few weeks ago, he mentioned saving for a car to replace his old one. I got furious, and we had a serious talk. I asked him about his real plans and to stop with the BS and be a man. After much pressure, he said he didn't think marriage was important. I asked why you got engaged then. He said he wanted to. I told him it made no sense. And to think, what would he think about it if his sister had a boyfriend for that long, acting the same way? He said nothing. I said, you have a month to think and decide. Then I'm leaving. Then he said, no, you're not leaving. We'll get married soon. But we need, insert a couple of things to be done and paid first. So I've been cold as ice since that talk. I'm not arguing or acting mad. I'm a roommate, not a girlfriend. I'm barely kissing him once a day. No sex, no intimacy. It hurts me because I love him. I feel lonely, but I don't want to act like everything is okay and ignore the elephant in the room. I feel hurt and rejected, so now I'm rejecting him as well. He complained a few times and asked why I was doing this. He genuinely doesn't get why I treat him like this. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but after all this, do you want to marry him? Like, really? He lied to you. He knew what you were craving and gave you just enough to keep you around. He doesn't care about you or your feelings. He could have been honest. He could have started an open conversation. He could have looked for a compromise. He didn't, not in 15 years. Lady, do him and yourself a favor and take a hard and honest look at this thing that you call a relationship, maybe with the support of a counselor, and ask yourself if this is really what you want. You deserve a partner who cares about your dreams and will support you to make them come true. Exactly. OP, you can do better. Just leave. Why wait for a ring in marriage if it's forced? You'll always know he only married you because you forced him to. It's not love. It's just a way to make you care for him when he gets old. So leave. Find someone who truly appreciates you. Seriously? $20 engagement ring? From a grown-up man? He bought her silence for 8 years for only $20. I feel for OP, I do, but I really wish people had more self-respect. You shouldn't have to beg someone to marry you. I don't think I could stomach being married to someone that I had to threaten into being with me. Update. We live in his house. I do own property of my own that I rent out. No debt. We have savings for emergencies. So not rich, but not poor either. No, I do not want to marry him just to cheat and divorce and get half of it, as someone suggested. I make more than he does, so I don't need his money. No, he doesn't cheat. I never asked for an expensive ring. He was the one to mention it in the first place. It could be a $100 ring, but no. He mentioned a $1,500 one and then proceeded to tell me he couldn't get it in the same sentence. I'd respect anyone who clearly says marriage is not for them. That's honest. My issue is when a man asks a woman to marry him, says multiple times he wants to marry, then states that marriage is not important. And yes, he wants to have kids with me, even without being married, and he's mentioned it multiple times. But I was clear early on that I wouldn't have kids until I'm married. That's my personal preference, and he was aware and agreed. He could have said no. I'm not using lack of intimacy to force or blackmail him to marry me. It's just how I feel now. So I'm acting based on these feelings. I have to think hard about our future. My parents named me Margaret Emily. I never liked either of my names. I go by Robin, which is random, but it was a nickname given by my grandpa, and I loved it so much that I used it as my name. My parents were bothered by my dislike for my name. They asked what was wrong with it, and I told them it wasn't a name I would use. They hated Robin, still do. They think nature names that are direct words for parts of nature, bird names, flower names, etc., are stupid. My grandpa got a heck of a time from them for giving me the nickname, but my parents are also very anti-nickname. My name is a sore point because my sister hates her name, Ella. She was named after Mom's late grandmother, and she always said her name was too girly, while mine feels like a lady's name. It's an old lady's name and ugly. Emily's just meh to me. Margaret is where I really feel a strong dislike, and my parents and sister have always called me Margaret. The name also causes fights because my extended family calls me Robin now. My boyfriend calls me Robin, and all my friends and coworkers call me Robin. My sisters often commented that I'm crazy for liking Robin, which sounds like a weird little girl who tries hard to be a unique parent and not a grown woman, over a timeless and sophisticated Margaret. But I also got a lot of guilt tripping from my parents when I legally wanted to change my name, so much so that I gave in and decided not to. My sister announced she was pregnant a few months ago. She told everyone the name was chosen before they knew what the baby would be. They had a name for both a boy and a girl, and they would not share it until they were born. Then they decided to do a party to reveal the name after their baby was born. This party happened last week. My niece was a week old. They named her Margaret. My sister said she wanted to honor me and brought all the attention to me during the reveal. She said, "We have 2 Margarets in the family now, and I know Auntie Margaret must be so happy and wants to get time with her mini-me." She also announced no nicknames would be allowed and to please respect that. Even some of her friends were so confused because people always knew me as Robin. My reaction was not what my sister was looking for, and she cornered me when everyone else was busy. She asked me what the heck my problem was and why I made a disgusted face when she announced my niece's name. She said I'm supposed to be touched and honored that she did this for me, I told my sister she couldn't name her daughter after me, knowing how I felt about the name, knowing I never use it myself because I hate it. And she expected me to be grateful, touched, honored, or whatever she expected me to react with. I also told her it wasn't cool to announce that, so I would be thrown into the spotlight. She told me I couldn't keep hating my name because her daughter would feel like there's something wrong with it and how selfish and stupid I am. Am I the idiot? She didn't do it for you. I don't know what your family's hang-ups on names are, but this was not meant to honor you. I can't even see this as well-intentioned but misguided. She knows you dislike your name and don't even use it. I guess maybe it's kind of controlling on her part, like trying to force you to acknowledge your real name or whatnot. You are not the idiot. Go get your name changed officially. They can whine, but they have no power over you unless you let them. Honestly, sister's got another thing coming if she thinks her Margaret will never go by a nickname. I was raised very Catholic and know a lot of Margarets. Don't know a single one without a nickname. If the family doesn't give it to the kid, kids in school will, because Margaret is a mouthful. I'm preferential to Daisy as a Margaret nickname, but if sister ever changes her stance on nicknames to family, maybe give her a birdie nickname like Jay or Wren or Chickadee, so you can both be Margarets who go by bird names. Oh, and I suggest you get little Margaret a onesie with Maggie on it. I'm in a bit of a family predicament and could use some outside perspective. My son, who's nearly an adult, recently won $1,500 by gambling online. He got into this after watching some gambling streams, and it seemed like he wanted to experience the thrill himself. Yes, he did have to indicate he was over 18 to play, but the bigger issue for me was the gambling itself. When I found out, Stake sent him a congratulatory email, which I saw, but he didn't come clean. I decided to step in as a parent. I chose to confiscate his winnings, not primarily because he lied about his age, but because I wanted to underscore the risk and potential addiction associated with gambling. I felt this could be a slippery slope for a teenager, especially given how easy it was for him to win this time. My wife, however, believes I overreacted. She thinks we should have talked to him about responsible behavior instead of just taking the money. She says this because he did stop gambling and self-excluded on his own volition. My son is upset as he feels like he won that money fair and square, despite the age issue. He's been pretty cold towards me since. I'm second-guessing my decision now. Was I the idiot for taking away his winnings to make a point about the risk of gambling? Not the idiot. Give it back to him when he officially turns 18, the legal age. Someone help me out here. Could this fall under some type of fraud? Whatever it falls under, he needs to be reminded about the consequences of breaking the law. Other than that, you're doing a great job as a father. I disagree. You're teaching your kids that it's okay to steal from them. I wonder what makes you think you can do that. You are the idiot, of course. Don't be surprised if your child stops sharing things with you. I wouldn't be surprised if this permanently damages your relationship with your kids. Also, gambling sucks, but this is not the way. I agree. It doesn't belong to you. OP, it is quite possible that your son will get into trouble. Also, you as parents, and that money may be forfeited. So it's okay to keep hold of it until you find out, but it's not your money. Where's the communication? Your son is nearly an adult. In less than 365 days, he will be a legal adult and able to move out, gamble the days away, and never listen to another word you say ever again if he so wishes. Stop treating him like a child. Talk to him. Negotiate with him. Stop and listen. Validate his feelings, or you could lose him.